If you want talk, games, and fun all rolled into one, well, you've come to the right place. This is The Game Show, where host Bradley Clarke and his special guests talk about the world of television game and competition shows. But Bradley's guests aren't here to just talk. They came to play a game as well. What will today's topic be? What game does Bradley have planned? There's only one way to find out.
It's time to start the show.
You heard the man. Welcome to The Game Show. And here's your host, the Bradster himself, Bradley Clarke.
The Game Show is back on your radio. As always, thank you so much, Austin Angelo, and welcome everybody to The Game Show, the talk show all about the world of television game and competition shows. I'm Bradley Clarke, and today I'm bringing out the big game show guns because my guest is a big name when it comes to game show producers. The game show industry has had its fair share of renowned producers, from Mark Goodson and Bill Todman to Merv Griffin to Bob Stewart to Meryl Heater and Bob Quigley. However, when it comes to today's age of game shows, this guy is one of the finest producers the industry has. And here are just some of the shows that are listed on his resume.
On my new game show, Winsanity, players stack pop culture facts, and if the contestant wins, the audience wins too. Who's it gonna be? Come on down, let's play some Winsanity. The number of hot dogs the average American eats, the number of flavors offered by Smirnoff vodka.
We're gonna go with digital cameras under Harley.
$10,000 we gave away today. We do it big here. We do it big here.
Winsanity premieres Thursday, June 9th, 9/8 Central, only on GSN.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one and only Jamie Foxx.
What up? Hey. Listen, welcome to Beat Shazam. Look, tonight 3 teams are going to battle it out to see who's the fastest at identifying the monster hit songs. The quicker the answer, the more money they can make. Give it up for the money. Give it up for the money. We about to get this money away. In the end, only one team is going to stand here and square off against the greatest musical mind on the planet. What's the name? Shazam. Shazam. It'll be man versus machine. And a showdown for up to how much? $1 million!
Today's competition is going to be a battle of wits. It's a good thing I'm not playing because then it would be a battle of nitwits. Hey, this is Lingo! Let's do this! Welcome, everybody. I'm Bill Engvall, and this is Lingo, the game where knowing 5-letter words can give you the chance to win $100,000.
Our warehouse is filled with treasures worth over $50 million. Tonight, you'll see a Vincent van Gogh painting, an underwater car, a guitar made of gold, and a whole lot more. Everything here will have our contestants in all of America asking one question. It's worth what?
Tonight, we're playing the games you love to play with your family in a whole new way. Yahtzee, Twister, Cranium, Gestures, and Boggle. The games are bigger, the stakes are larger, and moments are priceless. Right now on Family Game Night. And now, here's your host, Todd Newton.
Thank you so much, Rick Richardson. Thank you all. How you doing, buddy? Thank you all for coming. Hi there, cuteness. Hi, guys. Good to see you. And welcome to all of you, especially you folks at home. We're thrilled to have you here on Family Game Night. This is where all of your favorite games come to life in every single episode.
But that's not all. My special guest was a co-creator and executive producer on one of the greatest and most successful game shows of the 21st century. It just so happens to be the first ever game show I hosted in front of a live audience as well. Yep, back when I was in the 5th grade, I channeled my inner Jeff Foxworthy and hosted Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader in front of my entire elementary school. Who knew that 11 years later, I would be talking with one of the brainchilds of the show? Joining me on the line is a great game show mind, and I'm glad I have the chance to talk with him today about some of the highlights of his incredible career so far. In the game show dictionary, he's pictured next to the term super producer. Please welcome on to the game show, Barry Poznick. Barry, welcome to the game show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It is such a pleasure to have you on the show, and I personally want to say thank you for being one of the individuals who is keeping the game show industry alive and well in these crazy television times.
Well, thank you. I love it. You know, I grew up watching game shows and wanting to be on them, and getting to make them is extra fun because we get to do it every day.
That's right. It's all about the love and fun of the game.
For sure.
So we're going to chat about some of your accolades in the game show industry so far, and then we're going to do a little role reversal near the end, and you're going to play a game that you actually produced.
All right. Sounds good.
So let's get started. So I want to start off by talking about probably one of my favorite game shows of the 21st century, Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader?, which you had the pleasure to co-create and executive produce on. It started off in 2007, and it became such a big success so quickly. Why do you think 5th Grader just took off?
Well, I think it was a very common premise that any parent could relate to, trying to help your kids with their homework and not remembering and being challenged by it. And every kid could relate to because they felt like we do know more than our parents. And so I think it really came at a time that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was such a success. But you really had to be smart to work your way up that money ladder. And with 5th Grader, you just had to remember stuff that you know you were taught. And so it had that mix of comedy, and then also you could surprise yourself sometimes by actually remembering the information. And then the irony was that you would be cheering because you remembered something that you learned when you were 10. And so it obviously isn't that difficult to comprehend. And so I think that juxtaposition of adults and kids just really lent itself to be relatable to everybody, and that families could sit around and play together.
Well, it's interesting because the show premiered when I was in the 3rd grade.
Oh, my God. Okay, there you go.
So it was so interesting for me to figure out if I just happened to know the 4th grade material or the 5th grade material. I felt so accomplished.
Right.
The original primetime run of 5th Grader ended in 2009, and the syndicated version ended in 2011, but the primetime version of the show was revived for one season in 2015. So one of the biggest changes on the 2015 revival was that instead of the $1 million question being another 5th grade question, it was now a 6th grade question.
Could you use $1 million?
Yeah, I could definitely use $1 million.
Yeah, that's usually the answer to that question. Let me tell you how we go about that in this classroom. I'm going to show you 10 subjects. They range from 1st grade to 5th grade. Your first correct answer is worth $1,000. The 10th question is worth $500,000. You ace this test, I'm going to give you a chance to prove you are actually smarter than a 5th grader. I'll give you one 6th grade question. You answer it correctly, you walk out of here with $1 million tonight.
So what was the thought process behind making this change?
Well, there were different executives at the Fox network at the time versus the original team that we had sold it to and developed it with. And I think there was a friendly debate of if you're smarter than a 5th grader, don't you need to know something that they don't know? So that was the idea. You know, we tried it. I don't think it was the right choice. I didn't hate it, but I'm happier going back to maxing out on 5th grade because in the majority of the country, 5th grade is when you graduate from grade school, not 6th grade, which is what it was in the East Coast where I grew up. But so I thought it's nice that we're returning in the new version to 5th grade as the final round. Although we do have a change in that the 5th grade final round is a speed round. So there's 5 5th grade questions that each one you get right will multiply your money you've won so far. So you could win 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and then 10 times your money if you get all 5 right. So it has a lot more speed, and the pacing's a lot more exciting because it's only a half-hour show this time as opposed to an hour.
Welcome back to Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader? We left Lindsay doing a happy dance. She left 4th grade with $5,000. Here's how the 5th grade is going to work. I have 5 questions for you in these subjects. Each question you get right, you're going to multiply your original bank. Your ace 5th grade is going to be 10 times 5,000. Say it with me, everybody, is $50,000. That is the good news.
Yes.
The bad news is these are the toughest questions, and you will have 60 seconds to answer them all. But hope is not lost. Chloe is here, and she can help you out with the 5th grade because I'm giving you one final cheat.
Okay.
You're not going to cheat. You'll discuss with your classmate after the time is over.
Okay.
So you get more questions, more excitement, more kids, more comedy. And then John Cena is filling in the hosting duties now, and he's big and loud and fun and a big kid himself.
Tonight.
Oh, work it, John.
It's 5th grade like you've never seen it before. Biggest prize in Nickelodeon history, $100,000.
I want to cheat.
3rd grade teacher is cheating in the 3rd grade.
You just schooled the teacher.
You got this, Lindsay. Oh, wait. I remember now.
Please remember.
It all starts right now.
Make it happen.
What's up, Jameer? What's up? Welcome to Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader? The show that gives grown-ups a chance to win $100,000. The biggest prize in Nickelodeon history! All they gotta do is prove that they are smarter than a 5th grader. And if that's not generous enough, we're gonna let them cheat from our actual class of 5th graders. Shall we meet them right now? We have Jameer, Isabella, Nick, Chloe, Cooper.
And his perspective on the show is he doesn't remember a lot of this stuff, and he owns up to it, versus Foxworthy, who is an amazing host, and we never had to give Foxworthy the answers because he knew the answers to all this stuff. So it's a very different tonal entertainment experience that I think the viewers will get.
When I saw online that 5th grader was coming back, and this time on Nickelodeon, of course, my game show mind was going in various directions, thinking about format changes and other gameplay elements. But I was genuinely happy to see that the show was returning, and I'm not just saying that because you're on the phone with me. I am super excited to see 5th grader return.
This summer, John Cena wants to know,
Are you smarter than a 5th grader?
Not a clue.
He didn't do so well. Are you smarter than a 5th grader? The quiz show where kids help grown-ups make the grade.
We'll need a little help on this one.
The answer is false. Dalmatian Jasper, Edgar Allan Poe.
The correct answer is Tropic of
John Cena hosts the all-new Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader?
You can't see me.
Coming this summer to Nick.
I love hearing that. Thank you.
I've always been curious about this. How many textbooks do the writers actually go through to come up with questions for Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader?
Oh my God, thousands. It's really crazy. When we created the show, John Stevens, who I created the show with, who was my producing partner at the time, we went to a teacher's supply store in LA. We drove over there together and bought a whole bunch of books and started going through them. And that's how we developed the show and compiled all the questions in the original. And that's always been one of the unique functions of the staff on this show. They're not writers like on a typical show where they would write questions. They're more researchers and finding questions and picking the ones that were like, oh yeah, we all remember learning that. We know Mount Rushmore exists. I can't name all 4 people featured on Mount Rushmore, or I'm not sure which state Mount Rushmore is in, but I know I've heard of Mount Rushmore. And that's like the conceit of everything on the show. It has to be familiar to the majority of people, even if they don't remember what the answer is. And so we go through tons of textbooks, and now obviously the internet exists in a way it didn't 13 years ago when we created the show. So there's a lot of research that happens online as well.
It's funny you say that because, like I mentioned at the top of the episode, I hosted a version of Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader back when I was in the 5th grade. It was essentially an assembly program for my elementary school, but instead of everyone hearing speeches, there was a game show being played, which, if you ask me, that's my kind of assembly. So, based on their grades, I chose 5 of my fellow 5th graders to be the game classmates, and there was a small audition process to select the contestants, all of whom were either 3rd or 4th grade students. Basically, Barry, what I'm saying is, when I was roughly 11 years old, I was the executive producer, casting director, host, and writer, because I also wrote all of the game's questions of Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader? And
That's so funny.
And I would use my own textbooks to create some of these questions because I figured, well, I would hope that they would know the stuff that is in the same book that's in my house. So it's so interesting that now, you can just look up any fact on the internet. But back then, textbooks were vital, going even way back. I mean, encyclopedias were the foundations of many game shows.
For sure, for sure.
Another revival you were associated with was the 2011 revival of GSN's Lingo, which you were an executive producer on. The new Bill Engvall-hosted Lingo saw some differences from the previous Chuck Woolery-hosted production, including a chance for teams to win $100,000 during bonus Lingo, which was rare for a GSN game show.
All right, ladies, here's how we play bonus Lingo. That's $1,700 you won. That is yours to keep, free and clear. Now I'm going to put 90 seconds on the clock, and you'll have up to 5 words to solve. For the first word you get right, I'm going to match your $1,700 and put it in your bonus Lingo bank. Then for every word after that, I will double the bank. So 17 turns into 34, 34 into 6,800, 6,800 becomes 13,600, up to 5 words. Now you solve 5 words right in less than 90 seconds, and we will cut you a check for a cool $100 grand. Sound pretty good?
Yes.
You got 15 seconds.
White, W-H-I-T-E.
10 seconds.
Wild, W-H-I-L-E.
For 100,000, is it wild? Yes, it is! You just won $100,000!
So what was the development process like for the revival of Lingo?
I don't really remember much other than we wanted to do a bigger prize than they normally do. And on their acquisition shows, where they're buying reruns of other shows, they have high prizes, but their originals, they didn't have high prizes. So it was just that idea of just sort of how do we make it a little bit louder, a little bit more fun. Everything about that version of Lingo was blown up, and so was the prize.
Well, who doesn't love a big prize on a game show? So something in the game show world that I find fascinating is when an individual known for producing game shows takes on the role of a game show host, which you ended up doing for a game show that aired on OWN called Are You Normal America?
Yes.
Which the title alone is so great.
Thank you. I did not come up with the title. Oprah Winfrey did. It was a show that we developed with her and her team based on a recurring topic she had done on her show a few times, where they had just talked about what does it mean to be normal. And, it was sort of a funny episode the first time they did it. And it was like, is it normal to have vacuumed in your home while naked? And, they surveyed thousands of people, of her viewers, to see. And it would turn out, yes, it is normal to have vacuumed naked in your house. And different things that were kind of funny. And so she thought that would be a good premise for a show. And so they came to us and said, would you help us create this show? So we said, great. And we developed it with them. And then, like in any of our other development, we act out the game in our conference room and workshop it, and a lot of geeky game stuff that we love, but that most viewers don't imagine even exists. But we do this whole process, and then we had to present it to Oprah before going in to pitch it to ABC, because this was something developed with Oprah's production company before OWN Network existed. And so we were presenting it to Oprah. So I was hosting the run-through just like I had done in the conference rooms before, and she ultimately watched the run-through, loved it, and said, good news and bad news. The bad news is I don't want to pitch this to ABC. Aww. The good news is I do want to buy it for OWN, which is this new network I'm launching. And we were like, oh, my God, great. And she said, but there's a catch. I want you to host it. And the reason that was extra jarring was we had already provided her and her team with a list of potential hosts, very famous comics and celebrities who we thought would be great for it. So she already knew all the names that we were talking about. And then she said, but I want you. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's not really my thing, but thank you. And she had her hands on my shoulders, like was looking at me straight in the eyes, and her team was all gathered around, and some people from my production company were there as well. And she said, I don't think you understand. When I met Dr. Oz, I knew he had potential for bigger and better. When I met Dr. Phil, when I met Rachel Ray, when I met Nate Berkus, she's like going down all these names, and she's like, and now I'm telling you that I want you to host this show. And it was almost mafia. I was like, oh, okay. So we were in Chicago at her studios at the time, and I got in the car to go to the airport and called my wife and told her the story, and she was like, shut up, that's not true. There's no way. And I said, yeah. I said, that's what she said. I said, obviously I'm not going to do it. And my wife said, what do you mean you have to do it? Oprah said so. So that was sort of how that all came about. And I'm really glad I did it. It was definitely not my calling, but I learned so much. of how difficult it is to host a game show and make it seem like a party at all times and make it seem spontaneous, and how to be in the moment while also being prepared. And I always talk to the hosts in their ear using an IFB. And so I had an IFB that Oprah was talking to me in my ear, and it's very challenging, especially when you have the queen of unscripted television in the most authentic way talking to you while you're trying to be funny and smart and likable and all the things that you're trying to be as a host. So it was a challenge, but it was a really fun one, and I love doing it, but I have no desire to do it again.
I could just imagine that. One moment, Oprah's telling you, I want you to host something for me. And then another moment is Oprah's in your ear telling you stuff. That must be like a dream come true.
It was amazing. It was really fun. Like I said, though, it's not all fun and games. Hosting is like being an athlete. There are people that are just gifted at it, and then there are people that also trained at it. And I was neither of those things. I was just kind of like, I'm a fun guy. I think I did an okay job, but I really do respect the people that put in the work, and it shows. Like John Cena was a great example also on Fifth Grader this season of someone who, that was not his skill set. Obviously, he came up being an athlete and a performer, and then got into comedy, and then got into this, and he's just like a duck to water. He is life of the party. And same way Jamie Foxx or Kevin Hart or other people that are non-traditional hosts that we work with that I love because they bring their own personality to it. I think when I did mine, it was a little bit more cookie cutter, so I wasn't as much bringing myself. I was trying to fit into a mold. And I love that now there's so many different types of people hosting shows that represent men and women and black and white and older and younger and athletes and comics. And it's a really wide range, and it's really fun.
Speaking of Jamie Foxx, let's talk about Beat Shazam, which Jamie is the host of, and the show is currently in its 3rd season. It's also one of your most recent executive producer credits. Now, the biggest question I have regarding Beat Shazam is, for the bonus round, the time the contestants get to buzz in and answer, are they the same for each song, or are the times actually determined by the official time it takes the Shazam app to actually identify the specific songs used?
Very good question. Nobody asks this. Yes, they are timed. It is Shazam's actual time needed to name that song. So there's a very small window within how long it takes Shazam on the most popular songs of all time. Obviously, if you use an obscure song, which we don't do on the show, it might take longer or never, but the majority of the songs all happen within 3 to 5 seconds. It's a similar range, but it's specific to each song.
Now we are at that monumental time where you're going to go up against the greatest musical mind of all time. It's time to see if you can be Shazam! I can tell you right now that Shazam can identify millions of songs, usually in between 2 and 5 seconds. But right now, there is no more multiple choice. You have to know the exact song title faster than Shazam.
It's so funny. While watching each episode, I've always tried to figure out if the clocks for every song were the same. And thankfully, now I know that there is a slight time difference between them. Now, back in 2017, when the show first premiered, I immediately thought of Beat Shazam being the new Name That Tune. And game show fans know that Name That Tune began in the 50s, but the popularized version aired during the 70s and 80s, most notably hosted by Tom Kennedy. Brad Fact!
Tonight, from Hollywood, 2 contestants will be playing against each other for the right to win $100,000 on the $100,000 Name That Tune. Playing the tunes are Stan Worth and the Name That Tune Band, with Monica Burris, Dan Sawyer in the sound system, with Steve Martin. And now the star of Name That Tune, Tom Kennedy. Hello there. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Name That Tune. Good to see you.
Were you a fan of Name That Tune back in the day, resulting in you wanting to be involved with Beat Shazam?
I mean, I think I was a fan of Name That Tune, although I couldn't really name the tunes because they had an orchestra playing, and it was sort of a different show. This show spans the generations, more not unlike Fifth Grader, because we have so much current music as well as classics. So yeah, I think there's certainly similarities, but I think for ours it was more like, let's make it a party, and everyone does have such a good time, even the people that lose.
Well, that's always good to hear, that the losing contestants still had a good time. Something else I've always wondered about Beat Shazam is, Did the idea ever come up of using a voice to relay back to the contestants the correct song titles, specifically in the bonus round? I was thinking maybe of a voice along the lines of IBM's Watson, the supercomputer that played Jeopardy back in 2011.
Watson. Who is Franz Liszt?
You are right.
What is violin?
Good.
Who is the church lady?
Yes. Watson.
What is narcolepsy?
You are right, and with that, you move to $36,681.
Let's go to legal ease for $1,200.
Watson.
What is executor?
Right.
Same category, 1,600.
Answer, daily double.
So, yes, there was a lot of conversation about that, and it's very funny that you would pick up on that. Very astute of you. So, yeah, we talked about it, and we ultimately felt that Shazam doesn't talk in real life, and why create something that would feel more artificial and feel like maybe it's less authentic. And plus, we have Jamie Foxx, who's so funny and so fast and such a cool guy. And we didn't want to put him in the position of, like, talking to a robot voice and, like, having to interact with that. And then whose voice is it? And do we reveal that it's a real person or do we not? Do we have it be like Siri? And then if it's just like Siri, that's kind of annoying and everybody yells at Siri. So why would we want to put that in an entertainment show? And anyway, so that was sort of the process. So we decided this way was faster and alleviated all those other problems.
Interesting to know. That's a very good point. Lastly, let's talk about The World's Best, which is CBS's newest talent competition show that you were an executive producer on. I'm curious, how did the show go about choosing the 50 people from 50 different countries that made up the wall of the world?
It's not just 3 superstar judges, it's 50 global experts. We call it the Wall of the World. 50 experts from every corner of the globe.
The world's best to me is someone with almost superhuman talent. I'm looking for the best emotions.
This is it. The acts must be better than the best.
The world's best.
Yeah, so the Wall of the World was one of my favorite elements of the show, and it was really fun because we did pick a lot of judges who judged talent shows in their region of the world, and we wanted people that had experience and expertise. We also wanted people who were actual talents themselves and had skills and knew how to do more than just judge, but how to perform themselves so that there was a appreciation for the acts we were putting on the show and not just a generic judginess. We really wanted them to have an appreciation, and I think that came through because when you saw 30, 40, 50 people from around the world all love and act, you knew that was meaningful. And I think that really helped sort of set the show apart. You know, it's interesting now because we've sold now the American version to foreign countries around the globe, and so we're just starting to air in other parts of the world in the markets where they see their judge represented in the Wall of the World. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of feedback we get. I think people will really respond well to that in their own region.
It truly is a spectacle to watch, and you know, there's so many talent shows across the globe now, but when watching The World's Best, I actually got the feeling that the whole world was competing on one stage.
Yeah, exactly.
So some of the contestants from the first season of The World's Best I instantly recognized because I'm a fan of many global talent shows. So you had Sister Christina, who was the winner of The Voice of Italy back in 2014. And you also had Matt Johnson, who was a semi-finalist on Britain's Got Talent 2018.
When I was a little boy, I used to have a poster on my bedroom wall of arguably the greatest escapologist of all time. His name, Harry Houdini. Houdini was born in 1874 in Budapest, Hungary. In his day, people believed that he had supernatural powers. It was as though he could dematerialize through his restraints, like a ghost. This evening, I'm being strapped into a regulation straitjacket. I will then be hung by my ankles from that rope. And the rope will be set on fire. I'll have exactly 1 minute 30 seconds to make my escape before the rope burns through and drops me head first to the stage. One more thing. If the rope doesn't burn through and I'm still up there, when that clock hits 0, this will happen.
Of course.
Wish me luck.
Was one of the goals in producing the show to find incredible talent from world competition shows and bring them to America?
Yeah, we thought it would be sort of cool, kind of the ultimate competition of winners from around the world. I think that's what set the show apart. There was nobody on the show that wasn't amazing, and that's, I think, the biggest difference between most other talent shows. There's a bit of comedy in something that doesn't deliver, and there's a bit of stakes in that for the viewer. I think we wanted to just go with the best of the best. Like when you go see an awesome Broadway show, there's nothing about it you don't love. You're just mesmerized. And that's what we were shooting for. So really getting the best acts from their own countries, I think was a really meaningful part of the casting process.
And speaking from a viewer's perspective, it's so much fun to literally see the world come together on one stage and to highlight different countries on an American television show.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we have reached my favorite portion of the game show. It is time for the game of the day.
Game of the day.
And like I said before, you'll be playing a game that's on your list of game shows you've executive produced. It's time to play a Bradley Clarke version of GSN's Winsanity. Winsanity.
Oh, Winsanity is one of my favorite shows. Okay, great. Well, I'm not very good at it already. I'm just putting a disclaimer out there. I'm great at producing it, not great at being a contestant, but I'm going to give it a shot.
I really want you to get this right.
It's the pop culture trivia game.
Grammys won by Michael Jackson. Pounds Barack Obama can bench press. Days Paris Hilton spent in jail.
You play by the numbers.
Here we go. Letters President Obama receives per year. Is it greater than 307,490?
It's higher.
Winsanity, all new Thursday, 9/8 Central, only on GSN.
See, that's how we do it here.
Well, Barry, I have complete faith in you, and right here on the game show, you can prove that not only are you a great executive producer of Winsanity, but you're a great player of Winsanity as well. And here's how this version of Winsanity works. I'm going to name 3 items, each having a numerical answer. And all of the items will be based on shows that you have actually worked on. You must then stack those items in order from largest to smallest based on their correct numbers. If you're right, you'll score 2 points, but correct or not, I'll then give you 1 more item to be placed within the stack to earn an additional point. I'll have 3 groups of items, and if you can score a total of 3 points or more, you will be deemed a winner.
Okay.
Those are the rules. You ready to play?
Yes.
Then let's play Winsanity. And here comes your first 3 facts. The total number of facts featured on a Season 1 episode of Winsanity.
Okay.
The number of $1 million winners in the history of the primetime version of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
Okay.
The number of bowling pins used during the family game night game Yahtzee Bowling.
Ooh. Okay, so facts used on an episode of Winsanity is the highest of those 3. Yahtzee pins is the second, and millionaires is the third.
Are you going to lock in that list?
I'm locking that in.
Well, I am pleased to say that you are absolutely right.
Thank God.
Do you know the numbers?
Facts used on an episode of Winsanity, I think it's 10?
Correct.
And then the Yahtzee pins, I think, was 5?
Correct.
Okay, and then the millionaires, I'm not sure, but I'm going to guess 3?
No, you're 1 off. It's actually 2.
Oh, okay.
Those $2 million winners on the primetime version of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader were Superintendent of Public Schools for the U.S. State of Georgia, Kathy Cox, and the winner of the 2006 Nobel Prize in Physics, George Smoot III. Brad fact.
Yes, both were great.
Classroom. We have Nobel Prize winning scientist George Smoot III He has $500,000 in his pocket. We're about to see the $1 million question. All right, Professor. The subject of the $1 million question is U.S. geography. The $1 million question is, what U.S. state is home to Acadia National Park? What U.S. state is home to Acadia National Park?
I'm thinking it's on one of the coasts, and so it's either got to be Maine or California. Let me think. Yeah, why am I thinking about California? Maine sort of feels better, but no, California keeps sticking in my mind. Acadia National Park. I'm going to go with Maine.
How did you come to Maine? Tell me what you were thinking.
Been everywhere, done everything.
Been everywhere, done everything? Like
Not quite, but I know I visited places like that. I just got to remember where it was. It's a memory search, you know.
Professor, for $1 million, the question was, what U.S. state is home to Acadia National Park? You said Maine. Oh, man, I hate this part. You made history one time with the Big Bang Theory, but tonight, you made it again! You got it!
I am George Smoot, and I am smarter than a fifth grader.
Those are really fun, but I thought there was one more, but guess I was wrong.
But you're not wrong in the fact that you scored 2 points. This is actually to win, because if you get this, you scored the 3rd point. So here comes your additional fact. Now it's going to go somewhere in between these facts. The total number of zones each contestant faces on episodes of TKO Total Knockout.
The total number of zones is 4 zones, so it would go between the $1 million winners on 5th grader and the Yahtzee pin.
Are you going to lock in that list?
I'm locking that in.
That is correct. Barry, you have just won Winsanity.
That is amazing. What do I get?
You get a congratulations from another fellow game show lover, creator, producer.
Fantastic. I'll take it.
Now, even though you already won, would you like to try stacking one more list?
Sure.
That's what I like to hear. All right, Barry, here comes your second group of facts. The number of dollars the Fast Track song is worth during the Shazam Shuffle on Beat Shazam. The number of dollars the 4th question is worth on the primetime version of Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader? The number of points a team receives for correctly answering all 5 chosen questions during the first round of Easiest Game Show Ever.
Oh my God, you've stumped me. I am speechless right now. I should have studied and prepared. I will guess the 5th grader primetime 4th question. I'll say the lowest, then I'll do Easiest Game Show Ever, and then the Fast Track.
Even though you already won, I'm still going to ask you, are you going to lock in that list?
Yes, but I'm nervous.
You actually had it the opposite way around.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the number of dollars the 4th question is worth on the primetime version of Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader was the largest. That's 10,000. The number of points a team receives for correctly answering all 5 chosen questions during the first round of Easiest Game Show Ever was in the middle. That's 5,000. And at the bottom, the number of dollars the Fast Track song is worth during the Shazam Shuffle on Beat Shazam, that's 4,000. Brad fact.
Oh my God, so funny. Well, you know what? We've done so many versions of 5th grader that the money ladder changes because we've done it in 60 countries around the world.
I'm Colin Mockery, and welcome to Are You Smarter Than a Canadian Fifth Grader?
Welcome to Are You Smarter Than a 10-Year-Old? It's a brand new term, and this time we're putting celebrities to the test.
What's grammar?
I don't like anything up there.
Goodbye.
Where's Salt?
Now I've lost all my confidence and a little bit of wee's come out.
Oh, you are right. And there's a brand new class to help them. First out of the dressing room is actress Martine McCutcheon.
Why are we doing this?
Because I feel better down here.
Yeah.
But excuse me, I think I've got to go home.
Will she have to admit?
I am definitely...
Definitely not.
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 Smarter than a 10-year-old.
We see their happy, smiling faces everywhere, but question, are today's celebrities smarter than a 10-year-old?
I've got $500,000 to give away, and all someone has to do is answer 10 primary school questions. Come on, it's not rocket science. Oh, except for the questions on rocket science. The trickiest question on television, where do babies come from? And also, are you smarter than a fifth grader? Tonight, grown-ups could win a whole wad of cash, and all they have to do is prove that they are smarter than tiny kitties, such as these. Please welcome Maddie, Dylan, Liam, Oliver, and Lily.
So every time we make a new version, we modify certain things about the game. And as the new version will premiere in June, you'll see the money ladder is yet again evolved.
Hey guys, John Cena here from the all-new Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader on Nickelodeon, the quiz show where kids help grown-ups make the grade. And they can win up to $100,000.
So it's hard to keep it straight, but I love that you're a super fan, and I loved playing the game. That was fun.
Well, thank you so much. I enjoyed creating it for you and hosting it for you.
Thank you. Well, hopefully one day you'll meet Oprah and she'll give you the real chance.
Or we can meet in person and you'll give me the chance.
Oh, maybe I can too, yes. Although I hardly put myself in Oprah's category, but sure.
You never know. Maybe a Bradley Barry game show creation will come out of this sometime in the near future.
B squared.
B squared, that's right. It has a nice ring to it, I must say. And that was the game of the day, Winsanity. Winsanity. Well, Barry, it has been so much fun talking with you today about some of your game show endeavors. So thank you so much for joining me today on the game show.
Thank you.
And you always have an open invitation to join me on the game show anytime you want to talk some more, or if you just want to play another game.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, take care.
Really nice meeting you, man.
You as well. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Well, unfortunately, we've reached the end of another episode of the game show. The time just goes by so fast, doesn't it? I want to once again say thank you to game show super producer Barry Poznick for being my special guest today. Now, I've been lucky to have other big-name game show producers grace the WRHU airwaves, including Roger Dobkowitz and Bob Bowden. So if you'd like to check out their episodes of the game show, as well as listen to this episode again, you can do so by logging on to www.soundcloud.com/Bradley_Clarke. That's BRADLEY_CLARKE/sets/the game show. That's www.soundcloud.com/Bradley_Clarke. That's BRADLEY_CLARKE/sets/the game show. Plus, don't forget to like The Game Show starring Bradley Clarke on Facebook and follow The Game Show starring Bradley Clarke on Twitter using the handle @TheGameShowBC and hashtag The Game Show. But of course, be sure to tune in next time for another exciting episode of The Talk Show, all about the world of television game and competition shows, The Game Show. I'm Bradley Clarke, the Bradster, and I've got to go copy off my classmates' paper before I get caught. Bye for now. The all-new Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader audio cuts are courtesy of Nickelodeon.
This edition of The Game Show was created and produced by Bradley Clarke and was recorded at the WRHU studios. This is Austin Angelo speaking.
The Game Show is a Bradley Clarke production. Get your game on.